clean, so
There you go.
objection is on my
All right.
back.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. We have a motion to adopt the agenda. Tom so moves. Dave seconds. Any changes to the agenda? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. All right, next update on the economic development closure with the state.
Okay, so until we actually get all of this closed out, I thought it a good idea that I bring it every month and just kind of go through where we're at. I did write a few notes here. I want to thank the mayor and Dave for going out and knocking on doors. This is the money we're trying to get for the district back here for those roads. Okay.
And John.
There's we're going to do a special shout out
Oh,
to John and Missy. Okay. So they have been detrimental from day one working through this process. This has been a heck of a process to go through. And John took it upon himself. We gave him a call. We were at about 30, almost 40% with LMI. For that to be qualified for the LMI funding. So I called up John, and I know he knows a lot of people in that neighborhood, and he was willing to go back out a second time. And he grabbed about another 16 surveys, I believe, at that time, which brought us to the LMI of, we have to be at 51%, and we came in at 55.48%. So he did a lot of work to bring this up to a percentage that we could actually send it into the state. So without that extra work, we would have all the other work previous would have went unnoticed. So I just want to say thank you very much, John, for all of that work and you too also, but he just took that extra step to help us when we would just needed that a few more surveys so that we could get that area covered for the LMI. So really appreciate that. We have submitted that over to the state. They have recognized the submission. Now we are waiting to make sure, or to see if it qualifies. So now they go through all of our paperwork and say yes or no, that it looks okay, or can you get us this, or can you get us that? So we are at that process. Also, if you remember, there was a huge process that Chad had to go through, and this is the same kind of funding that we went through for the Newton Blackmore Trail. So there is now an application process. So we have to apply to the state twice, once for the streets and once for the ADA projects. So we have 3 ADA projects, a trail, a ADA trail, and then the streets. So Missy and I are actually working through that process now. What was really nice is we had a consultant do the Newton Blackmore Trail. So I will be able to use some of that information, the citizen participation plan. There's a number of things, but there also are a number of things that I have to bring to finance next month. So you will see those. It's a public participation hearing. So I'm going to kind of look at what the consultant did, and I'm going to take care of that myself and go through what we're looking at for projects. Like again, it's 3 ADA projects in the parks, the ADA trail, and then the streets back here. So I think I should be able to go through that process. And then we're going to also have a resolution authorizing the submission of the 2 grants that Missy and I are working on. So we're currently working through that process, like I said. So again, this isn't our main job. So when we get time, we kind of plan an hour here and an hour there, and let's see where we're at today. Yesterday, we actually got it into a packet. I was trying to get back to that today. I have not, but hopefully by Friday, I can actually get back to that submission packet. But we have that advertisement that needs to go out for the public hearing. We'll be definitely working on that before Friday, so we make sure that we have that in the paper long enough. But again, I wanted Missy here so that she could also be recognized of all the work that she has been also putting into this project for the city. So if anyone has any questions, otherwise that's where we're at today with the CDGB grant.
I should also mention Bob helped me on a couple that were hard to get a hold of.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. So kind of an effort on a whole bunch of people's parts to get this grant application moving forward. And I really appreciate everyone's help. Thank you so much.
We all appreciate it. Thank you very much, Missy.
Thank you, Missy.
John. Mark.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Okay, any questions? All right, if not, item number 3, approve of the Gold Cross Ambulance Service Agreement.
I can take that one. In your packet, there was a copy of the annual ambulance service agreement. We talked about this in the past. Unfortunately, with COVID, the cost has risen from 2020 to 2021. So we did budget for that. And in the bottom part of that agreement, Exhibit C talks about the cost for the city of New London, which is going to be about almost $114,000 this year. So that did go up quite a bit. And hopefully when things settled out and COVID settles out, their ambulance runs get back to normal, and then they collect more on the service side, the fee side. When they do an ambulance run, they collect those fees. That'll hopefully drop our subsidy back to what we should be at. So what you have in your packet is just the annual subsidy annual agreement that we need to sign to move forward with ambulance service.
Just to reiterate that this was passed as part of the budget package. So that dollar amount that Chad is talking about was included within the 2021 budget. So there's no change in the budget.
Is there a motion then to recommend the council approval of this agreement?
So second.
Mike moves, Tom seconds. Any further questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, next, review and discuss retirement schedule and designated funds.
All right, so this is another schedule that Missy and I put together. And there was a time that John Romberg was questioning many times, I shouldn't say just once, but many times, Judy, do you really know if everyone eligible for sick leave payout, retirement, well, sick leave payout is the only OPEB, other employee benefit obligation that the city has. And he said, do you really understand what that would look like if we had 4 or 5 employees walk out of the door tomorrow, and what impact that would have on our unassigned fund balance if that were to happen? Because I know chances are weren't really great, but he said, I think at some point you should get a handle on what that would look like if those individuals were walk out tomorrow, and what kind of an impact that would have on our unassigned fund balance. So I did call a consultant to put together this information, and he said to me, are you a certified public accountant? And I said, yes. And he said, you can do this yourself. He said, you just put that together. And I said, okay. And I hung up the phone and I called on Missy, and we put together, she put together the IT part of it, because she is so much better at that than I am. And we sat down and we thought through the process of how what this would look like. And we put this schedule together. And as you can see, in 2020, so the year we are currently in, if everyone eligible to walk out the door today left, we would have to write a check for $242,000. In comparison, and I don't think I put it actually in the packet itself, when you look at the designated and undesignated fund balance, actually it's easier for me probably to go right straight back up to the beginning here. I don't know why I'm off. And this is what I always talk about when I talk in unassigned fund balance. Why does it keep jumping back and forth? This is what this is for. See the retirement reserve right here? We have $605,000 sitting in there. And if the people who actually could get paid out today walked out the door, we'd have to pay them $204,000.
Out of that
So-
605.
Yep. So you can see that we're quite well funded when it comes to those payouts. Now, the reason we don't want to reduce this at all, so if you take a second look at the actual schedule, you're going to see it go up quite quickly. So all of a sudden, there's a lot of people, I think I hit the wrong one. There is a lot of people eligible for that retirement payout all of a sudden. So if we go here and then we go down here, you're going to see that at some point these explode. So you're going to see millions of dollars as we go through this schedule. So you can see we're at 400,000, 600, 825, a million. Although when you get there, you're going to expect this, people to come or to retire, and you're going to see the number drop. But at the end of the day, that's what it totals when you're hit the year 2030. So we actually have this scheduled out for every single employee within the city of New London who is eligible for this benefit is on this schedule and scheduled out until the day they retire. So the only thing we have to do is if we bring in a full-time employee, we add them to the schedule, and then we schedule them out to when they would be eligible for their sick leave. So we have a great handle on what would happen if those people retired or left.
And actually, you save money when they retire because the wages of the ones you're hiring are less than the ones that are retiring.
This accounts for a 2% increase in wages every single year. So if that wage increase is beyond that 2%, then we adjust it accordingly at the end of that year. But this does have a 2% increase in those wages as we go through the year, go through the years. So they are actually paid at their rate when they leave, not the rate when they're hired.
Okay.
Can't the police retire earlier than regular employees?
They can, and that is all within.
Part of your union contract yet from the state, right?
Well,
Nope,
it's
it's-
part of the state retirement where
Yep.
our magic numbers are 25 and 53 for us.
25 and what?
If we have 25 years in and we're age 53, we're eligible for full retirement.
Okay,
What we haven't seen a whole lot of people leaving at 53. We've seen.
Yeah, it's awful young, yeah.
In that 55 to 57 range.
Okay.
It seems like, but yeah, it's set up by the Wisconsin retirement system, not by anything else.
okay,
But
good.
And all of those, all of that is taken into consideration when we put this schedule together.
Okay.
So we'll take that individual employee and we'll say, when can that individual employee retire? And then we'll put them on the schedule when they can actually retire.
Actually, because there is something about early retiring, that they get a reduced rate, that's when we have them retired at that reduced portion,
Okay,
not when it's the max.
right, when they can actually retire.
Earliest.
Yep,
Yep.
Yep. The earliest year they can retire.
Gotcha.
We don't know, we don't have a crystal ball to say that they're not going to. So at the point that we put them on the schedule, it's at the earliest retirement day they can actually retire. And then we adjust it accordingly. So you get to that day and they don't retire, then we adjust that number accordingly. So I don't need any approvals. I just share this with you guys every year so you know that that's being looked at every year and that we're making sure we're adequately funded. Why my words are not coming out today.
Just want to compliment you guys. That's a very sophisticated table chart you got there.
It took us some time. It was actually fun. So Missy is phenomenal when it comes to putting together spreadsheets. I'm going to give her that. And it's a great partnership we've had for a very long time where the meat and potatoes, I understand completely and I know what it's supposed to look like. She can put together a spreadsheet faster than I mean, it would take me years to put together something like this. Then she color codes and she does all kinds of things that makes it so simple to read that it really is a great partnership to have, to be able to sit down with her and be able to go through things like that and then just have that second check. So I really appreciate all of her help and work.
So I'll do,
I
Miss.
have a question.
Well,
Question.
Dave,
So
Yeah.
by 2035, we need to have 1.3 million.
What will happen? Yep. So what will happen? So we're at, are we on the next page? I think I'm probably at this one right here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
So we're at this one over here. So what will actually happen is, you see how we have some people that are able to retire in 2020, we're actually looking at this one. The first one that I had. I got a lot of them in here. The first one, this
Yeah,
one.
That one.
Okay, so what happens is we'll actually have somebody retire. We have a number of individuals, let's say we got 5 or 6 up here that actually could retire today and take a payout. What's going to happen over time is they will leave. So you're going to see that end number drop and go back up or drop or go back up. But what's going to happen, so that one's going to drop off and we're going to add somebody in a year way beyond that we don't even started yet. But that million will drop because this one dropped off up front. So in reality, there will never be $1 million that we have to pay in that year because a number of individuals will have retired by that time. So we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that could actually retire today from the city and get the payout. So once they leave, it reduces that number down there. The new person's number will go in a new year. So it won't accumulate to that huge dollar amount. But when you're looking at assigning a fund balance, you want to know what that number looks like so that over time you're looking to accumulate to that number.
Judy, they don't leave it a lump sum. They leave it a monthly benefit, right?
That depends. So the sick leave payout can be paid out over time, but not beyond the year. So if somebody leaves in January, we'll pay them till December.
Well, I don't care about cumulative sick leave. I mean, strictly the retirement portion of it. I mean, you can save your sick days if you don't use them and add that to your retirement benefit.
The retirement and the sick leave payout are 2 separate things.
I understand that, yes.
The retirement's paid through the state of Wisconsin. Those checks come from the state.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. So those go directly into your checking account.
They
from
get
the state
paid by a monthly benefit, not a lump sum.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I think they have a choice.
They have a
I don't
choice.
think it's a smart choice.
Have a choice.
From the state too?
Yep. Depending on how many years they have in, that's their choice. That's their money. So
Okay.
I've had a number of people come and talk to me about their retirement and the choices there. There's a laundry list of choices that retirees can make. And at that point, it's out of our hands what they choose to do, but I wouldn't never recommend that be a choice that somebody takes.
Much better in the private sector.
So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, any other questions for Judy?
you.
All right, if not, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Finance Director report.
So I think we're starting here with expenditures. Revenues, probably. Yeah, revenues. And currently we are at, so we've collected all of our taxes. Those are at 100%. We are at about 64%. I expect that our revenue side to be at 100%, even though some of our revenues, did I say expenditures? Some of our revenues are running a little bit behind this year, fines and forfeitures, public charges for services. We'll see a lot of that come in. The big ones are cable and then our liaison officers yet from the police department. So we should see those be added in the next month. And then we did receive the Roots from Recovery grant here at 121,000. So that's going to help us on our revenue side. Expenditure side. Does anyone have any questions on our revenues?
No, just so they keep coming.
I know, right? Actually, we did, Missy and I found an email that we do have some CARES Act funding that we are looking at or actually received the funding. We just have to, send in the expenditure side for a funding that came in. I think it was $8,000 that we received for our election process. So we just have a few more items that we need to submit to them. I think it was like $1,200 that we have to get into them. It was due December 1, but she's going to give us a little grace period here. So by Friday, we want to get her that information because she said she has to turn around and send it to the federal government. So the sooner the better. So we did receive a little bit of money from the CARES funding for the additional expenditures, but there was some additional expenditures for that process this year for that election process. So that was an additional $8,000 that we did receive. So let's see. We are at revenue expenditure side. Yes.
Can you blow that up?
You want to go here?
No, maybe 100 or 75.
I know it's hard to.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So we expect to be at about 83% 10 months in. We're at about 81%. So we're doing well in some categories. As you know, we do have some big expenses. This is no shock to most of our categories are going to come in under budget. Our biggest ones that are not is probably administration. So on the side of payouts and on the side of attorney fees is what's going to be the biggest thing in February when I go through the annual or the yearly report. Those are the two that are going to stick out the largest to us. It is not going to shock us, but it's just something that we'll have to deal with when it comes to the end of the year and how we want to handle that.
What was
So attorney fees and payouts. So
that? That's for under administration or what?
yep, that shows up in our administrative line item. So it's just something that there'll be, I always take a look at the year-end budget and think through that process. And we'll make choices about how we want to handle that in February as we take a look at the year-end.
Okay.
So any questions on any of the other expenditures? Everything else looks like we are a little bit high in our equipment maintenance line item. I did send out an email. I think I included you guys in on that. I did have a number of department heads come and talk to me. We took a good look at a lot of the detail within those accounts. I think it was that we shot up a little bit. We had some tires, a big purchase within the Department of Public Works for snow plowing, but it's one of those things where I'm not going to wait until November and the snow flies and say, okay, now put some tires on that. I mean, I don't think that was a good. Chad and I visited about those snow tires. I know they were a very large purchase, but again, it's one of those things where you don't want to be caught with the snow coming down and not something to plow it with. So, and that's not an annual cost. So this year we got hit with that cost, and next year you wouldn't expect to replace those, but who knows if something else might need to be done. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to come in okay, because we kind of talked about what we're looking at in December as far as equipment maintenance. And I think that we will be all right when we add in our next 2 months. Because remember, we're in October now, so we do have 2 more months of expenditures before we hit the end of the year.
Where does your, you figure for the gas prices of gasoline, where does that fall in here?
Gasoline, actually, if you look at that so you are being given at this point, and you guys can tell us if at any point you want us to stop giving you all the detail. But if you go to the police department, I guess if they would be a good indicator. I think we're under budget, about $3 a gallon. Is that what we budgeted at?
We're low this year.
Yeah. So a police department, streets department, I'm sure they're all under budget at this point, because my message in 2019, and I think the same thing for going 2020 and 2021 was to budget at $3 a gallon. Because there was a time where it was spiking.
Oh, yeah.
And we stayed there. That's where we're at for 2021 also, $3 a gallon.
Right.
But if you look at the individual line items, you'll see that the dollar amount actually spent, 52101, here we are. In gasoline, 271, where is it?
So 1+ came out of the COVID.
Right there.
Here, right here, 271. So you can see that it looks like 13.
33.
33.
33, and we're at 14. So most of the departments will mimic this. So they're all doing very well in the gasoline department
Lose
currently.
money.
And that's been working out good, being a quick trip with the way everything works over there with the cards and stuff.
Absolutely. Yep. And then you used to receive that discount from them. We used to go to the co-op and then we received a dividend. But we receive a bigger savings through Quick Trip than we did through them.
Oh, yeah.
So we had them
Good
kind of
for you.
compete against each other. Yep. And then we lost the the co-op over here.
Yep.
So that was a huge loss to us, and everything had to be, we had to drive everything. And that didn't make any sense. And now we have two on both sides of the city,
But
so.
they're fucking 24/7. So
I think we're buying gas or diesel from the shop or the county garage too.
Big shop. Yeah.
Yes,
Shop.
yes.
So we're getting diesel from there too, especially for like the lawnmowers. It's a lot easier to fill up there than
Sure.
drive across.
They negotiated
Um,
city.
any questions on expenditures? So like I said, we are gonna see some overages, and so just so you're not shocked when it comes to February and we're going through the year end. We will have expenditures that we'll need to take a look at, but again, I usually look at those and try to think of a game plan of what we want to do moving forward. Yeah, then we'll move on to assigned and unassigned fund balance. And maybe not. Why is it not working? There it is. And we'll make this big. There has been no change within the capital reserve at this point. We haven't had to, in the past, we've had to purchase equipment through this funding, but nothing this year. We had some small decrease in the capital, and I know they're working on some other items within there, and we'll subtract those out when those come through. But Casey and Chad are really good about getting me those expenditures when they come through. No change in debt service reserve, boat launch, 114,000. I know you in Park and Rec are taking a look at some upgrades within the Park and Recs to utilize some of that boat launch funds. The phone upgrade, we will be taking a look at that shortly. We've already discussed it. So that's going to pay for probably 3/4 of what our phone upgrade is going to look like. And we're looking at doing that in 2021. So we'll utilize some of these funds to help offset that capital project side. Trails and ATC, those are specific to that. Downtown facade, and then economic development. This is another thing we'll take a good look at the end of the year to see if there's any funding we can add to that. Again, in February. Retirement reserve is the one I just went over. We do have some set aside technology funds just in case, as we know, things change immensely quickly within the technology area. That's just in case software or something would change and we need to do something today instead of waiting for the future.
Do we have any immediate needs for computers, laptops, et cetera?
I don't think so.
Never immediate needs for computers. We're talking about possibly upgrading our Microsoft Office package to a newer package next year and using some of those funds.
It's one thing I heard at the county was they're going to wait forever to get a new computer, good computer. They have quite a backlog there.
So we're very fortunate
Good.
to have the technology we do here. I think that's about it. A lot of these other funds are we keep in trust. Hatton Park and Save the Birds. We don't have any change. I did take out the economic development loan that we approved out of our unassigned fund balance. We talked about that, so we're now at about $3 million, and that was approved at last finance and went to last council. So I did add that in there for this year. Any questions on unassigned or assigned fund balance? All right, then we're on to wheel tax. I update this monthly. So as of October 31st, we collected $100,000. High Street and Industrial Loop Crossing. So our revenue over expenditure is about 95.8. I would assume more of those bills will be coming in here shortly, but sometimes that's a little bit of lag behind when the work actually gets done and when you get billed. And it probably be even a bigger lag because it's the railroad. So I'm guessing that it might take a little bit for those to come in. Usually about a 2-month lag, but we'll see. I'll have to set those up eventually at the end of the year if we don't see them.
That's,
as a,
those are both MCC, so I can give them a call and
oh, okay.
tell them to get their,
All
but
right,
they're,
I thought it was a
I'm
railroad.
sure
That
they're
was,
busy just trying to clean up everything, then they'll worry about their billing when they're done with their construction, so.
all right,
I'll get
then I
involved.
would
Sure.
expect them faster.
One question from me. We're in about the third year of the wheel tax, and we only had one project, the High Street and the Industrial Loop Crossing.
Cedar and Northridge was our first two projects last year. The Cedar and Northridge got redone,
Okay.
and then Industrial Loop Road and High Street, and then I don't know
I
if we have
added
the,
this on the bottom
There you
so
go.
that we, yep.
Oh, okay.
so next year we're going to be doing through wheel tax for sure. The Shawano Street, that one block that I got that LRIP funding
Oh,
grant.
yeah.
So our portion, our half, or not half, but more than half, we're
Sure.
going to come out of wheel tax. And then like Judy was talking about with the community development block grant with the Avon Lima Lions, depending on how much funding we get and how much we want to do over there, we might substitute some of this money to do more in the Fifth Ward. So it'll be used by
Okay.
far.
Then John can tell that resident.
That was the number one response, knocking on doors. I've been sworn at.
But it's being used by far.
Used, not abused.
Any other questions on the wheel tax? All right. Wastewater treatment plant, we're at 423. That seems to be kind of just sitting steady right now. They have some things they have to deal with over there before any payments are made. So they do expect about 200,000, and I talked about that with the wastewater treatment plant budget. So those will be going into retained earnings, and we'll be using them for a project next year, putting those dollars towards another project. And then here's the taxes. Okay, so I actually did sketch together the taxes that need to go to the county. Actually, at any point now, I received all the information last week. So I put this together because it's always nice for you guys to know if somebody comes a knocking, what's happening with our taxes. So the first four columns are city. Okay, so this is the city tax. So what I did is the average home about $150,000. So I wanted you to take a look at what an average home, $150,000. What does that look like when it's the actual city tax? Okay, so this is the tax bill that the residents are going to be getting in the mail probably by the end of next week. So I need to get this finished and to the counties on Friday is my goal. I will get this to the county on Friday so that they can begin the process of putting those tax bills together, and then they also mail them for us. So you can expect tax bills to be in the mail next week. So in case anyone asks you, because they may, when am I going to get my tax bill? At the end of next week. They should see them in the mail. So city tax rate. And this is what I tried to talk about a little bit. You can see that Outagamie, even Wapaka County's rates vary just a little bit between the two of them. So the assessment ratio and the tax rate. So I put them next to each other for a reason. So if you take a look at the assessment ratio for 2020, it was at 0.96. You take a look at 2021, it's about 0.94, 0.95, okay? Then the tax rate. So you can see in 2020, it's at 0.0093, 0.0093. Then for this year, 0.0094, 0.0094. That's what happens when your assessment ratio drops. That's all that's happening there. The only reason your tax rate went up, nobody's going to pay any more taxes. Your tax rate went up because the assessment ratio went down. Okay, so it's got an up-down effect. So assessment ratio goes down, tax rate goes up. Doesn't mean you're going to pay any more taxes. And this is very confusing to people, but I thought this might be a really good visual for you. So down goes the assessment ratio, up goes your tax rate. But in Outagamie County, the taxes itself dropped $2.81, and in Wapaka County dropped $2.71, 6 cents. But they're going to say my tax rate went up. Yes, it did, but your assessment ratio went down, so you're actually paying less taxes. So I just thought it would be a good visual for you to kind of see how it's an inverse relationship between the two of them. Okay. And then, the city tax rate actually went down about $3 on both sides, or your taxes in overall. And I think that's what we expected about a steady tax rate. In the city itself, so the overall tax rate, the Outagamie portion went down $28.58, and the Wapaka side went down $4.99. The reason for that is Wapaka County went up more in taxes than Outagamie County went up. So if you're on the Outagamie County side, you're going to see a little bit more of a decrease in your tax bill than you're going to see on Wapaka County side. So the lottery credit, now this has an impact also. And I was a little shocked at this because this hasn't happened in a while. So the lottery credit went down. In 2020, it was $156.50, and this is off your first installment payment, both of these. So your lottery credit went down $19.90, and the first dollar credit went down 66 cents. So you have a $20.56 decrease in the state money that's coming in as your credits.
What's that first dollar credit?
The first dollar credit was established, I want to think that was about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was meant to give you your first dollars off of your tax bill. It was a political, yeah. So we're going to give you back your first dollars that you have to pay on your tax bill, and this is how we're going to do it and how we're going to calculate it. So it's been on there about 4 or 5 years. Not sure how. These are never guaranteed either.
Yeah.
None of these credits that come across. So that's $20.56 decrease or increase on your tax bill. So if you look back up at Outagamie County, they went down by $28.53, but they're going to go up by $20.50, so about $8.53. And the Wapaka side went down by $4.99, but you're going to go up by $20.56. So you're going to have a little bit of an increase there, if that makes sense. I'm sure you all have looked at your tax bill before, and you know that the top ones are net and gross, and the bottom ones are straight off your first installment payment.
Yep.
Also, if you don't get your lottery credit, or if anybody says to you, I didn't get my lottery credit and I've been in my home since January 1, 2020, just have them ask us, and we can get that off of there for them. So if they have not received their lottery credit and they were in their home by January 1st of that year, so that's what the day is, we count January 1, 2020. If you were in your home and you did not see your lottery credit, they can ask us, we can have them fill out a form, and we can give that to them right there at the counter. Then we send that into the state.
Okay.
Any questions on that? I don't think there was anything. I mean, I was pleased in that there wasn't a lot, a big increase to our taxpayers at this time, to see that came in steady. So we'll be going into tax season next week.
Okay, any other questions for Judy? Guess you're on to the finance director's report.
Okay. I think in the first part, I talk about calculating the tax rate, which I shared with you tonight. I had to also fill out TID information for our ER TID. Anytime you have a TID district, you have to fill out that TID information first, because it is a direct impact on the levy amount. So it increases the levy amount for all the jurisdictions. You have to make sure you do that TID first, otherwise you're not going to get your TID money. And then, especially if you have a very large TID, you're going to be it's not going to be a fun year for you, because you cannot go backwards. So you have to make sure you fill out your TID information first, and you use those other calculated levies within that worksheet, and use that for your tax rate. I talked about Missy and I working on economic development, posted the 2 positions. The building inspector position did close. We had 6 applicants for that. And last time I checked on the clerk position, there was 16.
6 or 16?
16 on the clerk position.
16.
I had to enter some new poll workers in the payroll. We got our bond money, so I set up all those account numbers. Talked about the sick leave that was on the agenda tonight. April and Missy had, every year they put together the special assessments for the city and get those over to the county for our tax roll. And that's a big job that the two of them have to get together a couple days. And they work through that balancing and making sure if we cut somebody's grass or went in and shoveled their snow, that those kind of assessments get put on the tax roll if they haven't paid them. So they went through that process. And I talk about how we're gearing up for tax season. So things are going to get pretty busy in our office. All the year-end reports are due by the end of January, 1099s, all that kind of stuff. I set up the health and dental meetings. We had those. They went well. Chad and I attended a road funding meeting. The focus is on the utility bill collection. I think at some point we'll have a conversation about that probably as a committee. Human resource and payroll. Jill is back. I guess I shouldn't have, but maybe Chad wants to talk about that. But Jill did come back in our office this week, so we are very glad to have her back. And then I just said Happy Thanksgiving. But December is it's busy, and I'm not complaining, but I'm saying this is our time where we're gearing up for people in our office. I did think through and thought about, and Chad and I discussed, and should we close City Hall for tax collection and maybe only be open certain hours? And I sat home one night and hemmed and hawed and thought, well, I think I'm just causing more problems, because then when we are open, you're going to have a line 6 feet deep. And so I think we'll just leave it open, and then we'll wait on our taxpayers as they come in. I'm going to encourage them within the tax bill to please mail in their payment if that works for them, or put it in our drop box out here. I will encourage that kind of payment, but I know we're going to get them at the counter, because their escrow checks are bigger than what they owe, and we write them their check back. So I think we owe it to our citizens to be open and to be able to do that process for them. So we'll work through that as the year goes on. So I think, and then I talked to Chad about it too, I just really think we're going to cause more of a backlog and more people, and I don't want anybody angry. So we'll just work through tax collection, and we will be open.
And we had a City Hall staff meeting the other day on Tuesday, I think it was, and Judy did a good job of organizing how we're going to do it. We're actually going to, everybody hands on deck in City Hall with tax collection. Girls in the back, myself, Casey, we're all going to back up, and Judy's got a really good plan to put that together for staying open the whole time, so she doesn't have to close it down just for certain days. And then we did, kind of spurring off of that, we were lucky enough to twist a couple arms. We got Sue Tenney to come back for about 16 hours a week to help us, and that is immense, because like getting the nominations papers ready is obviously the clerk, someone with a clerk background knows how to put those things together. So Sue came back for a little bit, and we also got April's aunt, Liz Kanak, come back, and she's helping us with 16 hours a week. So we do have some clerk hours or clerk experience coming in the office and helping us up at the front, which is awesome in the interim until we fill the clerk's position. So, but Judy's got a good plan ready to go for tax collection.
Yep. So everyone will be a part of the process so that we can continue to serve our public. So that is most important, and with a smile too. So we appreciate them, and hopefully they appreciate us too, and everybody that works so hard at City Hall. So
Very good.
that's that. And then the last thing, I did send out an email, and I said I was going to talk about this tonight. Sent it out. John, you should have got an email, the mayor, but we had a check presented on our checking account, a fraudulent check for about $14,000 made out to an individual's name. And I also sent it to the chief because I wanted him to know too. And what happened was the bank called me, remember if it was mid-afternoon, something like that, or morning, and it said, Judy, I think this check looks weird to me. I said, can you send me a copy? And she said, the signatures don't look right. So she emailed me a copy. The minute I looked at it, I said, that's not ours. But they did a good job. I mean, if you weren't real accustomed to looking at our checks, but I'm so used to our signature fonts and everything else, I said to her, that's not real. So immediately, without even caring what I had to say, they shut our checking account down. So I am now in the process of ordering checks, changing all of our direct deposits, doing all of those things. So I'm going to work through it. It is what it is. We can't change it. It was like, that's the checking account we started here at the city. We've never had to do this before. And the bank, it's their protocol, and our option was to close the checking account down. They didn't want to take any chances that somebody would get into that. They're like, if that's being circulated, we have no idea how far or how, who actually has that information. So great catch on First State Banks. I had said that to her. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you guys are looking at this. I do have to take a look at our checking account and see if there's anything odd going on in there. I'll do that before I leave tonight. But now just moving forward, I did get some accounts payable checks. I think I mentioned that started so that we can move forward, and we don't want to, our payroll did go out for the week. So they allowed us to do that before they said they would, add and subtract that in the background or whatever they're going to do to make sure that that works. So the payroll checks did go out. We have a couple weeks here, but then the accounts payable, he's going to overnight us. So next Tuesday, we'll get our accounts payable checks so we can make sure that the city is paying their bills on time. What's really important is federal withholding taxes and things of that nature, because you get big fines if you're not on time with those. So Friday, that one was due. I had April send it out already today, because she said she would work with us on payroll. I did send Lynn an email to all of that. I'll be keeping all of that stuff, obviously, because when our auditors come in, they're going to be, why is the checking account, what happened to your checking account? So they'll be looking for all of that information from us. But I'll be working through that in the next couple of days, and what do we need to do to change those account numbers? I don't even, federal withholding, who knows how many years ago we gave them that information. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm going to get a hold of the federal government and say, how do I change my checking account with the city? It's going to be a process because we haven't done it for 50 years probably. So they just had our information. And I'm not sure if it happens at bank level. So I'm going to be in a learning curve tomorrow, but I'll be on the phone a lot trying to figure out how to make sure that everything gets processed on time. But that was a good catch by First State Bank, and I appreciate that on their behalf, watching our checking account. She did tell me that they watch anything over $5,000 is a big watch to them. So I'm going to take a look at my checking account. That's not mine, the city's checking account when I get back. And I'm going to see if there's any, usually they say there's a pattern to this, like real small ones and then a big one. So take
And
a
they
look
caught
at
it and stopped it before it was paid too.
Yeah.
So it never
Yes.
came out.
Right. So it never came out of our checking account. So they might be shocked on the other end when they say those funds are not going to be sent to you. And what could happen is very much like with the payroll check. So they already have their funds from their bank and they're closed and gone. So I wouldn't be shocked if the same thing happened to that bank as what happened to us.
Yep.
And this is just becoming more and more, every day it seems like there's more and more of this going on, which is very scary to me. So I think I'm going to have a little conversation with our insurance company about that. And I don't know, I think maybe a little bit of education or something of that nature about this. Both with this committee and with the employees. So kind of talking about that, I feel like I need to wrap my brain around this better, and how we can be maybe a more diligent, or if there's anything we can do as a city or as employees to watch what's going on in that area. Because I feel like they're, the people who are trying to steal from us are getting better and better, and I don't know how to stop that. And I just feel I feel vulnerable. Like, how did that happen to us? But I really don't think there's probably much that I could have done to change what happened. But
well, I appreciate everything you have done. You jumped right on board, and you got a lot accomplished already today.
well, thank you.
There's nothing you can do. Christy works with it every single day. They are
Good job,
smarter
Judy.
and
Yeah.
smarter and
Thank
smarter.
Yeah,
game.
it's scary is what it is. And it
Every day
makes,
I come home, she's like, "Hey, look what I did this time."
Everybody wants the free
My
buck.
kid.
You didn't think you had enough to do.
that's what I thought today.
Apple.
I was like,
I don't know, Friday, this is,
Individual.
it's like the even,
Out of country organization. Look into it, talk to the bank, see if it was deposited by an individual at a place where maybe we got a camera, but I think it's worth exhausting, especially when we're talking about that amount of money, because I don't know if it's deposited somewhere in the Fox Valley area or if it's New York City where we're not gonna get any cooperation, but I think it's at least worth looking into, especially that amount, in case we can find something and get into the place of search or and find out that, hey, they're duplicating checks from numerous cities. The odds of that are slim, but I think it's worthwhile looking into.
Absolutely.
That's going to be my question for you, Chief.
Yeah. I think it's always worth spending a few hours on it to see what we can find on it.
mhm.
You can't get it, you can't get it, but it's.
Thank you, Chief.
If we would catch the perpetrator, could we have like a public punishment session?
put them on a stockade out
Avoid
there.
the court
Can't talk about that.
Okay.
Right at Riverside Park, right by your
We could
place.
make it
Can't
a
talk about
fundraiser.
that.
We'll dump them in the drink.
All right.
All right, any other questions for Judy? If not, thanks much, Judy.
You're welcome.
Any other questions and answers, period?
Oh.
Not, motion to adjourn?
So move.
Mike makes a motion.